We are Blackmore. We are Sunforce.
Opening day at Tropicana Field was filled with pomp and circumstance. From the emotional jersey retirement ceremony for Don Zimmer to the managerial debut of Tampa native Kevin Cash. Once the first pitch was thrown, the big bats of the Orioles were too much for Tampa Bay as Baltimore cruised to a 6-2 victory. Tonight, Nathan Karns goes to the Hill looking to get the Rays their first win in 2015. We welcome you to Tropicana Field in St. Petersburg. Opening week of the 2015 Major League Baseball season continues tonight. This will be game 2 of this 3-game series between the Rays and the Baltimore Orioles. Hi again, everyone. Welcome to Rays Baseball with Brian Anderson. I'm Dwayne Statz. Great to have you aboard. Well, for the Rays, after dropping the opener in the contest yesterday afternoon here, they're going to try to get even tonight with the Baltimore Orioles, and they will send the right-hander Nathan Karns to the mound. BA, when they got Karns from the Washington organization, he came with a reputation of being very good when he was good, and when he was bad, well, not so good. And that's exactly what the Rays saw in him in the 2 starts he made last year against the Blue Jays and the White Sox. So why do they think it will be different this year?
Well, I'll tell you why. They gave him a couple of things that they wanted him to work on in the offseason, and he showed up in spring training and put it into practice. Had a very good spring training, designs on making the starting rotation. I don't think in his wildest dreams that he thought he would be starting game 2 of the season, but that's exactly where we are right now, and you can see that game in September in Toronto. 7 shutout innings on just 2 hits. You see what he is capable of. He has 3 big league quality pitches, a fastball he can get into the mid-90s, a changeup, but look out for that power curveball. He can really spin that pitch with good velocity. Let's see if he can get all 3 of them working here tonight.
Well, tonight he'll make his 6th career Major League start, and you're right, this spring he has been all business. Well, the Rays, starting with a loss yesterday, looking for better things tonight. And when we return, Todd Calix examines the Rays' expectations.
of the season, part of the opening day festivities yesterday. Steven Souza Jr. and Asdrubal Cabrera working on game 2, making sure they have the handshakes down. Same with Chris Archer. That is a very important part of the early season, as Souza is with the Rays for the first time in his career. Expectations are a funny thing. If you go back over the timeline since the Rays became the Rays, since they were the Devil Rays, the expectations couldn't have been any higher than 2014 or 2009. As it turns out, those 2 years, they didn't fare very well. As you see, the 5 wins out of 6 with 90 wins or more, 5 seasons out of 6 with 90 wins or more, and 4 postseason appearances during that stretch. They did not make the postseason in 09. Obviously, they did not make the postseason last year. This year, expectations aren't as high around the country, but for Evan Longoria, that's not the case in the clubhouse.
There's no doubt in my mind that everybody in this room expects to play beyond October, beyond the end of September, beginning of October, whatever it is. And we've put the work in spring, and the belief is there. And now it's just going out and believing in that and living up to the expectations that each one of us has set for ourselves, and trying not to do too much.
So we're getting ready for baseball. When we come back, Dwayne Stats and Brian Anderson with the first pitch in the starting lineups, which will include Tim Beckham for just the second time in his Major League career in the Rays lineup. Weigh in Chen against Nathan Karns. Enjoy all the action on Sun Sports right around the corner.
Rays baseball tonight with Nathan Karns, the 27-year-old right-hander, making his way to the mound. Trying to pitch the Rays even in this series. Here's the starting lineup for the Baltimore Orioles, presented by your Southern Ford dealers. Alejandro Diazo leads off. He had a good opening day yesterday. So did Steve Pearce. He'll hit second in front of Travis Snyder. Adam Jones, Chris Davis in the lineup at DH. Completed his suspension. He had 1 day left on that. That was yesterday opening day. Manny Machado's at third. Brian Flaherty went deep yesterday. He at seventh. Caleb Joseph will do the catching. And the number 9 hitter at shortstop, Everett Cabrera, And there's Nathan Karns.
Well, we talked about his spring training, and he had a nice spring. Obviously got a lot of work there, 23-plus innings. And I'll tell you, consistency is the key for Nathan Karns. The stuff is there. Can he consistently bring it? We're about to find out.
Well, he has faced the Orioles before in a brief stint he had with Washington. And he goes up against Baltimore tonight. Diaza in the box, and here's the first pitch of this game. And it's a called strike, says Ed Hickox. The first pitch presented by Pinch-A-Penny. One ball, one strike. Karns came to camp this spring with a mission. Jim Hickey has tried to declutter a pitcher's mind who's trying to put everything together, because he's got a lot of ability. Karns. 2-1.
And he was very confident going into spring training, and I think a lot of it had to do with the checklist that he was given and all the adjustments that he worked on during the offseason. Came in ready to go and had it in his mind he was going to win a starting spot. He did just that.
Ground ball going to go into center field for a base hit. And Diaz is aboard to start this one.
Well, let's go ahead and set the Rays defense for you as it lines up behind Nathan Karns in the outfield left to right. And Desmond Jennings, Kevin Kiermaier, and Steven Souza Jr. across the infield third to first. Evan Longoria, Asdrubal Cabrera, Tim Beckham, and Logan Forsythe. Rene Rivera will be behind the plate.
Forsythe down there at first base. Steve Pearce takes the pitch for a ball.
Hey, good. How are you?
Forsythe at first base. Tonight, James Loney, a late scratch from the Rays lineup. He was originally in the lineup hosted by Kevin Cash. Tweak in his side.
Get it up, baby.
And as a precautionary move, the Rays have removed him from the starting lineup. Loney taking BP.
Well, that's when he said that it happened, and that's not something that you want to mess with early in the season, really any time during the season. Anything on the side, oblique, enough of those types of injuries. They can be tough to come back from, so you just feel a tweak, that you take it easy.
It was 3-0 to Pearce. Boy, you could excuse Kevin Cash and the rest of the Rays from wondering just what in the world is going on. 4 starting pitchers on the DL, their closers on the DL, and now a scratch of Loney, and they hope that it's nothing more serious than a day or two. And of course, John Jaso, who went in head first, banged up his wrist in the opener yesterday. And at this point, Jaso more or less day to day, but he has decided to swear off diving in head first. That's a good idea for a couple of reasons. Number one, all the concussions he's had would be one of them. And the other is, you mess up your hands, well, that affects your hitting. And he's on this club to hit.
That's it. I mean, he's going to be primarily a DH. You may see him in the outfield here or there, but you're absolutely right. And, you know, he said, when I'm going into second base on a double, I slide feet first.
Runner goes, hit on the ground to the left side. Big turn, but Diaz stops at second. And the Orioles threaten on back-to-back base hits from Diaz and Pearce.
Well, this is that play that we were talking about, Dwayne. John Jaso trying to move up to second base on a ball that was in the dirt. Did not get that far away from Caleb Joseph, so there's a play to be made. And Ryan Flaherty drops that left leg right in front of second base. The wrist and hand go into it awkwardly, and Jaso would have to exit that ball game.
Remember Jason Bartlett, how he sealed off second base? That's exactly what Flaherty did there. And the way to combat that is to go in feet first.
You go in feet first and the guy drops a leg like that, he won't do it again, because you'll have to pry that shoe
out of his shin.
So the Rays are hoping that Jaso's absence will be a short one, as they like that bat in there. Jim Hickey already making a trip to the mound here on Karns. He's trying to be preemptive here, get out in front of a situation.
And we've seen that regularly from Jim Hickey. You know, he deals with a pitching staff that by and large is always very young. So try to get out in front of the problem.
Travis Snyder and a base hit into center. That will score Diaza. Pierce heads to third. It's 1-0 Baltimore on 3 consecutive hits.
Buck Showalter rewarding Travis Snyder, putting him in that 3-hole. Had 3 hits yesterday, and it wasn't just the 3 hits, but it was the way that he got them. He looked very good at the plate and stays in good rhythm here. Right there, changeup. That changeup stays up, and that's what allows Travis Snyder to reach it. The positioning of it on the plate was fine, but it was elevated, and you can just reach out there and find a hole.
So trouble in the first for Karns. First and third with a run across the plate. And now it's Adam Jones. Here's low.
Here's what's scary. You know, the 3 runners have already reached base, a run already in, and now you're just getting to the danger zone in this lineup. The way it's set out there tonight with Jones, Chris Davis on deck, Manny Machado following him up. Gonna get nasty here.
1-1. Well, you saw that changeup, and you mentioned it, the location to Snyder, the left-handed hitter, and it was up. And that's a pitch that the Rays would love to see Karns master to go with the other great stuff he has.
Fastball, curveball, and he's got a very good curveball. It's a spike curveball, and he can spin it at good velocity. But yeah, that changeup to go along with it, what a weapon that would be.
Shot toward the gap in left center field. All the way to the wall. Pierce scores. They're waving Snyder around. He'll score without a play on the double. And just like that, 4 hits and 3 runs.
Well, it's been the off-speed pitches in bad spots. The changeup that stayed up to Snyder. And then after getting ahead of Adam Jones on a couple of curveballs, he goes back to it. And this one stays up middle. Just cannot have that pitch in that spot. Obviously not trying to throw it there, but you've got to be extra cognizant to get that pitch down and out of the zone. Adam Jones, he wants to swing the bat. When you roll one in there like that, it gives him a great opportunity to do damage.
And now here's Chris Davis, seeing his first action here. He comes out swinging and fouls it away. You see Chris Davis the last 2 years. In 2013, 53 home runs. Last year, dropping to 196, still with 26 home runs. And then the suspension. A 25-game suspension. And it served 24 of those. That's why he was not in the opening day lineup yesterday.
And the Orioles feel like if he could give them a season somewhere in between 13 and 14, that's going to go a long way towards helping them make up for the loss of production from Nelson Cruz and Nick Markakis.
Cut by Davis, 1 and 2. Yeah, they led the American League in home runs, led the major leagues in home runs for that matter. But they're without Nelson Cruz right now, and Markakis, as you mentioned. Cruz took 40 home runs with him when he left. Check swing roller to third. Longoria's throw in time. Jones holding down at second.
And you know, the Rays were able to get an out right there. Nathan Karns with a fastball and the little check swing there by Chris Davis. But Rivera wanted that pitch up, and that's where you see teams going after Chris Davis, that the fastball elevated above the hands, and it didn't get there. Rays fortunate. That ball was, watch Rivera, he wants that thing up, and this ends up down middle. Very fortunate that that was the swing that was taken. Because that's in his wheelhouse.
Now Manny Machado. And by Rivera. And Jones goes to third. So it's been an erratic first inning for Karns here with his command. Wild pitch here.
Trying to go down and away to Machado and trying to be nasty with some sink, and that fastball was just yanked a little bit by Nathan, and it cost him 90 feet on the base pass.
And that puts Jones at third with only one out.
That's why you see that infield in.
Fly ball into center. Kiermaier in a position to make the catch. Jones headed to the plate. Throw not in time, and it's 4-0 here in the first, Baltimore.
Well, even with Nelson Cruz, Nick Markakis no longer here with the Orioles, well, if you're not making pitches and you're not sharp, this shows you what they're still capable of. In a blink of an eye, a 4-spot.
Yeah, you're in the big leagues and you have trouble with location, command. This is what happens. Flaherty chops it foul, strike one.
And that's been the book on Nathan Karns. You know, you alluded to it in the open of the show here. When that command is on, he can just wipe you out. We've seen that, but we've also seen struggle with command.
Into left. Desmond Jennings takes that one. 7 men to the plate. 4 score. And the Rays are down, coming in to hit the bottom of the first.
All right. Good evening.
Your Southern Ford dealers against the left-hander. Brandon Geyer's in there. He is the DH. Steven Souza Jr. in right, hitting second in front of Asdrubal Cabrera. Evan Longoria cleaned up with Desmond Jennings hitting fifth. Logan Forsythe, Rene Rivera, Tim Beckham in at second base. And Kevin Kiermaier in center field bats ninth.
Taking the mound tonight for the Baltimore Orioles, left-hander Wei-Yin Chen. You see his numbers from last season, 31 starts, 16-6 record. And how about the walks right there? Just 35 walks, 1.7 per 9 innings. That was good enough for fourth in the American League. Just does not hurt himself with the free pass.
And that's why if he gives up a home run or two, it's not a major issue for him. There's a shot. Going to be foul. And because he's always around the plate, he does at times get hurt early because hitters are up there ready to swing.
Well, you know, you're talking about the home run ball. He gave up 20 home runs last year to right-handed hitters. 14 were solo, and those don't kill you.
shortstop, and this is Cabrera to get Kiermaier.
And that'll be something else to watch, is how aggressive this Rays lineup is against him because of that strike throwing. You would expect them to go out and be in attack mode early and often. Let's take a look at that Oriole defense as it lines up tonight. In the outfield, left to right, Alejandro De Aza, Adam Jones, and Travis Snyder. Across the infield, third to first, we have Manny Machado, Everett Cabrera, Ryan Flaherty, and Steve Pearce. Caleb Joseph back behind the plate.
Steven Souza Jr. up here. He was 1 for 4 in the game yesterday. Had an infield hit in the 4th inning. Rolls it to second for Flaherty. 2 ground ball outs, 2 up, 2 down.
Shortstop, number 13, Asdrubal Cabrera.
Asdrubal Cabrera makes his way to the plate. Pitch a little wide, a fastball.
Good eye.
We talked about it yesterday. Asdrubal Cabrera, more pop from the left side, more contact, better average from over here on the right side.
Up a run batted in the game yesterday. Evan Longoria was on deck at the home run for the other run. There's the breakout for Cabrera. Curveball a little bit out front. There's Evan on deck. A home run for Evan yesterday. His 3rd opening day home run in his career.
And then how many does he have in game 162? He likes to start the year off and finish the year off with bombs.
Ooh, and a cut the miss there. A little late on a fastball away at 92. We go to the 2nd inning, 4-0 Baltimore. Sports is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. Checkers. Get Checkers Authentic Philly cheesesteak or try the new meatball sub. Pick yours, 2 for $5. And Sony, brought to you by Paul Blart. Mall Cop 2, starring Kevin James in theaters April 17th. And we do mean Paul Blart.
Okay, so
not the umpire, Paul Nart. And he's on this crew.
I was going to say that kind of woke me up a little bit there. I'm like, I think his brother is part of this umpiring crew, but it was close.
He's down at first base. There he is.
Well, he's styling tonight. Couple buttons down, got the gold chain going.
I kind of like that look.
On the weekend. Break that out in Miami this weekend.
That's where we're headed. Yeah. Okay. Don't forget to pack that. Two-1 the count to Caleb Joseph. Joseph with 9 home runs last year, and he draws a walk here in the second. So Karns continues to struggle with his command, and concerned faces there in the Rays dugout.
Well, until he finds it, there's nothing that these two can do. You know, Jim Hickey, one of the best pitching coaches in the game, and you know that he talked to him in between innings to try to settle him down, to get him back to his keys where he can deliver the ball to the areas of the strike zone that he wants to. But if you're just missing and missing out over or missing off the plate, what can you do?
Cabrera. And another pitch out of the zone. It's been a struggle for Karns here to settle in.
And I'll tell you another thing that's tough, and if you've ever pitched at any level, we've all been there, and that's you get snake bit. You know, you go out there expecting big things, your first start of the season, you give up 4 in the first, and all of a sudden your little confidence is shaken, and now you start to pick at that strike zone. Instead of being confident and delivering the ball, you know, outer third, now you're going for the outside corner. It puts you in some bad counts, trying to be too fine.
Facing the number 9 hitter. Suddenly those 8 and 9 place hitters start to look like 3 and 4 hitters. And when you start to think that way, good luck.
Yeah, no, that's a terrible place to be. He needs to make a pitch. It'd be nice to see him get a ball on the ground, get a double play, try to settle into this game a little bit.
3-1. You see 50-50 there, and pitches in the zone and out of the zone. Runs the count full.
This was a little under the radar pickup by the Baltimore Orioles. Everth Cabrera. They're going to hit him down there in the 9 spot. Out there at shortstop just a couple of years ago. He brings that element of speed. He was 44 out of 48 stolen bases for the Padres back in 2012.
It's on the All-Star team in 13.
Baltimore stayed pretty quiet over the winter. Felt like they liked what they had in-house, but he was a late acquisition and played a big role for this team. Especially with J.J. Hardy starting the season on the disabled list.
Yeah, he jammed his left shoulder at the end of March. Another walk to Joseph. Full count here to Cabrera. This will be the 8th pitch of this at bat. That's the other thing that you start to think about is the pitch count starts to mount a little bit. Rays would like to get Karns a little deeper into this game. There he gets it out. First out, the strikeout of Cabrera.
Well, you hope that at bat right there starts to build the confidence, because he fell down in the count 3-1, battled back, and then was able to finish Cabrera with a very good curveball. You see the swing. It tells you everything you need to know about the nastiness of that pitch.
Well, there are those who believe with that curveball that he has, he might have the best curveball on the staff.
Yeah, I don't think I would argue with that at all.
Yeah, baby.
The ball to Diaz.
What you like about it is the fact that he can spin it so tight that he gets good velocity on it. And that good velocity with that kind of spin, you get a lot of depth and a lot of deception.
Diaz started to go, but he laid off the curveball. It's a 2-0 count now. And right there behind him, missed with a fastball. 3-0.
Well, and this is where the fastball command comes into play, because you have the nasty curveball, but you limit its effectiveness if you don't command the fastball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you're not going to live alone on that pitch.
You can't go out there and spin it 80 times a night. You got to be able to move that fastball around, put yourself in good counts to where that pitch can be very effective. That pitch doesn't do you a whole lot of good here at 3-0.
There you go, Nate.
That's a strike.
All the way back out here. All the way back.
Well, he started the second inning. He's gone to at least a 3-ball count on every hitter here in this frame. 3-1 to Joseph, walked him. 3-2 to Cabrera, finally struck him out. Now he's 3-1 to Diaz. Into left. It's Jennings, 2 gone. So with 2 outs, Joseph at first, and Steve Pearce will be the hitter. GMC big matchup. How about this against the Rays? The Lakeland native. The last 24 games against the Rays, 7 home runs. He's hitting .325.
Primarily, the damage has been done on the fastball, too. Very good fastball hitter. Saw that yesterday. That's why you see Nathan Karns right there. Start him out with a nice curveball to jump ahead.
And boy, you think about how close the Orioles came to not having him when they let him go, and then had to immediately sign him up because of an injury.
There we go, baby.
What a big year he had for them last year.
Get the groove.
The pop in his bat. He was a big part of their attack. With a home run in yesterday's game and another run scored after drawing an 8th inning walk. Fly ball back to left. Well tagged, and he's done it again. He continues to just murder the Rays, and he hit that 0-2 breaking ball out of here.
Well, and here's the thing. Steve Pearce, a lot of damage off the fastball, but if you're going to throw him 3 straight curveballs, that third one had better be moving out of the zone and bouncing. But instead, 0-2 hook. He's already seen 2 in a row, and you can see how he kept his head down on that baseball, recognized it early, and put a great swing on a mistake pitch.
Travis Snyder takes it low. And what's really frustrating about that, after walking the leadoff man, he was able to get 2 outs and then get ahead of Pearce. And you're thinking, boy, if you could get him to chase, you might be out of this inning, not giving up anything.
Out of the inning, building confidence, and instead, 0-2 mistake breaking ball and 2 more runs for Baltimore.
And it's a 3-ball count to Travis Snyder. Ball 4. Snyder is on. Jim Hickey's got to trot to the mound. Oh, the Rays are down 6-0 here to the Orioles in the second inning. The Marlins have seen the Braves score 7 in the top of the first on them tonight. Things are going well for the two Florida teams here tonight. And there is Adam Jones, tonight's T-Mobile game changer. Well, Mr. Jones has a thing going on, and it's called consistency. Look at those numbers over the last 4 seasons.
You know what's remarkable about those numbers is not only how consistent they are, but they're, the average good, the home runs batted in, and he doesn't walk. And everybody knows. I mean, every year he'll hit more home runs than walks. You don't ever see that from guys that are going to give you 25 plus every year. They're walking 80 times, 75 times. He walks 19 times in 650 plate appearances.
That's right.
And still is able to do, not only the damage, but how about the average at 280 plus? That's pretty impressive. I mean, and he is not afraid to tell you, listen, I go up there, I'm ready to swing the bat. I want to walk. You got to work to walk him.
Takes a mighty cut right there, and it's 0-2. Yeah, and on the other side of his game, he just wins a Gold Glove every year.
Yeah. How about that? Highlight reel catches, covers a ton of ground. Well, this is why not long after Buck Showalter took over the Orioles, they locked him up to a long-term deal and said, listen, you're going to be one of our guys.
Longoria handles this one to retire the Orioles, but they add to their lead. A 2-run home run by Steve Pearce. That makes it a 6-0 game as we head into the bottom half of the second inning. The second inning, and a big hole here for the Rays, down by 6.
Good eye, Evan.
Doria, Jennings, and Forsythe. Evan homered in the 7th inning of yesterday's game. Strike. Evan with a 1-0 slider out in that game.
He's had now 14 career hits off Chris Tillman. 6 of them have left the yard.
Keep it going.
Two. Desmond Jennings. Rays intend to keep him down in the order this year. Looking for production from him and that part of the order.
And turning him loose a little bit. You know, I think they encouraging Desmond. Listen, you're not a leadoff hitter. You don't have to go up there and try to see 5, 6, 7 pitches in at bat. You're down in a run-producing spot. Go up there and let it loose.
Full count to Evan. Well, that makes some sense. You know, he's got a little pop. He's got extra base strength in his approach at the plate. Jennings. Hot shot, but it's foul.
And, you know, they probably, you know, had the feeling that he wasn't comfortable in that leadoff role and trying to see pitches. And, you know, that just wasn't working out for him, at least not at this point in his career. So, you know what? A little change of scenery in the lineup and in his approach.
And after that pitch, that fastball up, and he fouls it. Well, Jennings, for his career, is walking under 10% of the time. For a leadoff guy, not too good. There's ball 4. So Longoria walks to open the bottom of the second inning. And so here's Desmond. And I think you're right. I think the mindset for Desmond down in the order makes a lot of sense.
Let him go up there and try to be aggressive. You know that Wei-Yin Chen throws a lot of strikes, stays away from the walk. Try to take advantage of a leadoff walk here. You're down by 6. You got a long way to go. You got to start somewhere.
I don't know. Well, Evan worked that walk. It was a 9-pitch at bat. So he's aboard. See what Jennings can do.
Good eye, good eye.
And now there's ball 2. Jennings has a little success against Chen, including a home run and a couple doubles in his career against him. And Chen, after that long Longoria at bat, they walked him, has fallen behind Desmond 2-0. Headed toward the seats. Out of play, 2-1. Baltimore with 4 in the first and 2 in the second. Fastball caught the zone.
And that was a nice pitch there by Chen. Desmond Jennings had designs on leaning out over the plate, trying to get those arms extended, and he was able to tie him up with a fastball in.
There's a base hit the other way. Charged by Snyder. 2 men on here to start the Rays half of the second.
That was a nice job by Desmond Jennings. Chen goes in to get to 2 strikes and then down and away. Not a bad pitch at all. Just a better job of hitting by Desmond Jennings to go out there. Don't have to swing hard. 2 strikes. Look to take the ball where it's pitched. He does just that.
And now Logan Forsythe, who's playing first base tonight, bats with a couple men on as the Rays trying to build an inning and chip away at a 6-run deficit. I don't know. Boy, it's interesting the difference in Chen. You know, he had a very crisp first inning. 1, 2, 3. Couple of ground balls, a strikeout, 8 pitches. And then he comes out. Longoria works him for that lengthy at bat. Now Jennings with a base hit. And Forsythe is ahead in the count.
He just has not been able to build a rhythm. Obviously, Baltimore scoring 6 runs, will keep you on the bench longer than you may like. But he just has not. He did in the first, but coming out here in that second inning, like you said, he's fallen behind everybody. And primarily on the fastball, something that he has excellent command of most of the time.
This one is popped into shallow right. Fastball into Forsythe that picks up the first out.
Yeah, and you don't see that very often. A guy falling behind 2-0. Last place you think of him going is fastball middle in. You're thinking, okay, this may cut the deficit in half. And instead, he gets a fly ball to right.
Here's Rene Rivera. First pitch breaking ball for a strike to Rivera.
Well, the fastball hasn't been working, so you go to something else. And Chen, he's got that curveball to go along with a slider and a changeup for traditional.
This one stays away. Off speed. 1-1.
It seems like with a number of these pitches that he's throwing to the arm side, he's rushing with the body. A little too quick towards home plate. The arm having trouble catching up.
He gets the call there on the outside edge. 1-2.
Covered some ground. Curveball, changeup, fastball.
Ground ball back to the hill. He goes to first. He forgot how many outs there were.
Yes, he did. That was a tailor-made ground ball double play. Right back to the mound, and Wei Yin Chen thought that there were 2 outs. There's no other explanation for what he did. And here it is. Boy, you are just, as a pitcher, you're like, oh, yes, I'm out of it. Well, he realized too late. You're concentrating so much and getting back into a rhythm, you forget where you're supposed to go to the ball with the ball when it's hit to you.
Yeah, and a guy who's used to quick innings because he throws a lot of strikes. He's been out there. There has to be 2 outs. He's been out there that long.
Yeah. And he does not make mental mistakes like that. This is a prime opportunity. You'd love to see the Rays capitalize here, obviously.
So 2 men in scoring position for Tim Beckham, who gets the start at second base tonight against the lefty. He starts Beckham with a fastball for a strike. He's made 22 pitches in this inning after making just 8 in the first. Beckham has faced Chen before. He was up briefly. Beckham was in 13. He had 3 hits. Picked up a hit off Chen. One here would be big for the Rays. Really turn things around for them in terms of the psychological side of this game.
And it can be so demoralizing for Chen. It's one thing to go out and give up a couple of runs. You're going to do that. When you do it because of your own brain cramp, that can really be demoralizing, start to get into your head a little bit. And that's what the Rays are going to need to climb back into this game. Have to get Chen off of his game.
So count still the ball, 2 strikes. Chen went with the fastball, got it up. Beckham took a healthy cut on that foul ball. Staying alive, down 1-2.
Well, and the last couple of swings, I think the previous pitch, Beckham thought he got a mistake, and he really, like you said, he cut it loose. But a nice job of fighting off a tight little slider right there. He tried to come in with a fastball, follow it up with a slider down and in, and Beckham, a nice job of staying alive, found that pitch off. Anytime you can force that catcher out to go talk to his pitcher to try to come up with another angle of attack, you're doing something nice at the plate.
Nice take on the fastball just off the plate away. Count square now, 2-2. And a save there by Caleb Joseph, and the count is full.
Well, that was just a changeup, it looked like, from Chen that was choked off a little bit, and a nice job by Joseph preventing that ball from going to the backstop.
Longoria is the runner at third, Jennings aboard at second. Beckham out on strikes, and the Rays leave 2 men in scoring position. After getting Longoria and Jennings aboard, they're left on. 6-0 Baltimore.
$6-0, as you can see by the new clock that has been installed in Major League parks around the country. We're under 20 seconds to go until Nathan Karns should throw the first pitch. Part of the new MLB Pace of Game initiatives. As we look at our Coors Light cold hard facts, how it worked in day one of Major League Baseball season. The average time of game was 2 hours and 49 minutes, which compares favorably to last year's 3:08, shaving nearly 20 minutes off. 9 of those games were under 3 hours, guys, and 6 under 2:40. Small sample size, obviously, a lot of number one starters going, but that's a sign in the right direction. And this clock, even though it initially looked a little bit awkward, seems to be accomplishing what it intended to do, and that's get guys in and out of the dugout with a little more alacrity during the commercial breaks or in between innings. Back to you.
Yeah, they've attempted to shorten the length of games and be as
All right, Nick. Good job, baby.
cutting the miss, and Davis is out on 3 pitches. Second strikeout for Karns. They've attempted not to intrude on the game any more than they have to, and I think that clock is a good idea.
Yeah, and I think what Rob Manfred, the baseball's new commissioner, obviously pace of play was at the top. One of the things at the top of his list that he wanted to address in coming in, and it was cleaning up the dead time. That, don't mess with the game, but there's so much dead time associated with it that just drug out the time of game. Clean that stuff up.
Machado chops it to Cabrera. 2 gone. Well, they don't want to be intrusive into the game, and so they're doing a pretty nice job. Here's that timing between innings and pitch changes and that in-stadium clocks that we saw during Todd's report.
And for the most part, guys have been adhering to this, and the innings have started. When we've come back from break, they're ready to go, and that's not always been the case.
Flair chops it to first, and it's a 1-2-3 quick inning. Ryan Flaherty out of there. We go to the Rays half the third, 6-0 Baltimore. You'll flip over the limited edition Rays tumbler you get when you buy a Rays Flex Pack, starting at just $59. Save up to 50% and pick any 3, 6, or 9 games with no blackout dates. Everything tastes better in an official Rays tumbler. Get yours at RaysBaseball.com or call 888-FAN-RAYS.
Is there anything more meaningless than cotton candy that tastes so good? I mean, it just whipped sugar like that. What good does that do you? But it's so good.
Like a lot of things that are just so good.
And that's one of them.
Kevin Kiermaier takes a strike on the outside edge. Bottom of the third underway.
So if I'm keeping a list right now on the things tonight that are so good, we have cotton candy.
Yes.
And Paul Nauert's necklace.
Yes. And of the two, we might have to rate those later. Look at all that cotton candy, but the necklace still comes on pretty strong. I think I'm still going for the necklace over the cotton candy. It's probably better for you.
Everything in moderation.
That's right. 2-2 now. Boy, I tell you, the top of the third, just a 6-pitch inning. And Karns really needed that.
All right, Kevin. Good job, baby.
3-2.
Make it be there.
Lifted back into left. Diaz's going to have to go back to the track, and it's going to be over his head. Extra bases. Kiermaier already on his way to third. He's in there. 3 bases for Kevin Kiermaier.
Well, Kevin Kiermaier will turn singles into doubles, and in this case, a double into a triple. A ball moving away. Good extension on the swing and great carry on this. Able to get it over the head of Diaz. And watch him go. He only knows one way, and that is out of the box. Everything happening out in front of him. He can read it, and he's going to get into third. Quick start here for the Rays in the third.
You know, Kiermaier's now 3 of 6 against Chin in his career. He wasn't even in the lineup originally tonight. The Rays had to change that when Loney was removed. Now here's Geyer. Pitch is a strike. He's 3 for 6 with a home run and a triple off Chin. The Rays have another scoring opportunity. Well, they really let Chin off the hook in the second inning. Moving runners at second and third. You don't want to miss those opportunities, and here's another one.
It just becomes a reminder. You know, last season the Rays left the most men on base in Major League Baseball. Had trouble getting runners in, and thought that with the way the lineup is going to be thrown out there this year, with not as many dead spots, that they would have a better flow, more athleticism, and be able to score those runs that they were not able to last year.
Yeah, and I think they will. It's hard to. You can't evaluate based on one opening game and a couple innings of the second game. But here's what you're talking about. Last in the league in runs scored and 13th with men in scoring position.
And yet they were right at the top of the heat in on base percentage. So they're getting guys out there, just not able to get them in. But I agree with you. I think that they're going to be much better at that this year in the long run.
I think they'll get more balance up and down the lineup, top to bottom. And with that, I think will come better at bats.
Well, look at this inning. You know, you start the bottom of the third off with your 9-hole hitter, and that's Kevin Kiermaier. We saw what he could do last year, and he immediately triples the other way.
Chin gets a big strikeout of Geyer. He went up with him there and strikes him out on a fastball.
Right fielder, Steven Souza Jr.
That was a great pitch by Chin. Fastball up and in to Brandon Geyer. He goes above the hands, close to him, just ties him up. Can't get the barrel to the baseball.
Here's Steven Souza. Grounded out his first time. 0. Sometimes there's a tendency when you get down like this to try to get it all back with one swing, and just chipping away is the right way to do it.
Because I can promise you that it's not even mathematically possible to get it all back in one swing.
Ground ball by the mound. This will get the run home. Flaherty throws out Souza. He picks up a run batted in.
You know, and I'm sure that that's what the Rays are talking about on the bench right now. Hey, listen, we're down 6-0. Now it's 6-1. Nothing we can do about that except everybody go up there and work an at-bat. Everybody lock it in and work an at-bat the rest of the game, and let's see if we can't put a scare into it.
And it's surprising when you get down like this how often at some point during the game you will at least get the tying run to the plate. That happens way more often than you might think.
The Rays were able to do that yesterday. You know, being down, it seemed like that game was, you know, the Baltimore had pulled away, and yet that very scenario came up.
Asdrubal Cabrera with one strike to count. Evan Longoria follows him in the order. Cabrera got down 0-2, then 1-2 in the first. And Chin threw a fastball by him. Almost surprised him, it appeared. Cabrera down 0-2. And he chases this one. And strikes him out on the fastball. He had a little extra on that one at 92 or 93. 6-1 Baltimore. The flock out to Family Fun Day with the Rays take on the Yankees Sunday, April 19th. Kids 14 and under receive an Evan Longoria rubber duck while supplies last. For tickets, call 888-FAN-RAYS or visit RaysBaseball.com. Karns throws a strike to Caleb Joseph to begin the fourth. Karns made 21 pitches in the first and 28 in the second, and then had a 6-pitch third inning. He started the second by walking Joseph. He's 1-1 with him right now. The shortstop will be next, and then back around to the top of the order. holds at 1-2. Karns making his third start for the Rays, 2 starts last year. Boy, he was right on against the Blue Jays in a 1-0 victory over them last year, and then was touched for 3 home runs in his second outing for the Rays. 9 days later, that was against the White Sox.
Yeah, baby!
Strike 3 call, outside edge. Leadoff man retired in the 4th.
Well, a tremendous fastball there by Nathan Karns down and away. Watch Rene Rivera as he goes out to receive this. Maybe off the plate, but we talk about how good he is around the zone receiving the baseball. Ed Hickox is buying what Rivera was selling.
Strike to Cabrera. You know, interesting approach by Rivera as well. He's not overly conscious. If you talk to him about how he receives the ball, the first thing that comes into maybe the questioner's mind will be, you know, you're one of the top guys at framing and getting pitches that might otherwise be called a ball. And he says that's not in his mind at all. There's certain techniques that he was taught when he was in the Seattle system on how to set up back there, how to receive a pitch. And that's what he concentrates on. And as a result, he gets a lot of strikes called back there. So his mindset isn't out there as if he's somehow going to do something to steal a pitch. He's just thinking this is the proper way to receive a pitch. And it happens over the course of time. When you're receiving a pitch the way he does, you're going to get some calls. Numbers bear that out. Beckham takes care of Cabrera.
And the pitches that they're talking about are those borderline pitches that we just saw. Okay, well, so how do you get that? Well, it starts with his setup. Okay, he's going to set up there on the outside corner. And then it's just receiving the ball softly. You know what I mean? Being able to stick it when you have to, kind of roll it. You know, just all those techniques that you're talking about. And if you put yourself in the right position, you receive it properly, that's the end result. And, you know, how awesome is it that he can be out there not thinking about that and still getting it done?
Strike to Diaz.
I'd like to be the really good at something that I don't even think about doing. That's pretty cool.
Well, you just do it the right way, almost by second nature. 0-2. You know, the Rays through the years have talked about, well, it's the process. That's really what that goes back to.
Yeah.
It's the process.
Yep.
And if you implement that, you expect that you'll get some positive results. But you can see, you know, instead of, you'll see some catchers receive the ball and really jerk it in. Well, you're not going to get any call that way.
No. It's got to be subtle, and it has to be smooth. And that's exactly what Rene Rivera and his receiving skills give you the majority of the time.
Helps if you listen to a lot of Frank Sinatra music, too. Diaz out on strikes with the toss down to first. Talking smooth. 6-1 here. Go to the bottom of the 4th. Sports brought to you by Tampa Bay Radiation Oncology. When cancer strikes, strike back with CyberKnife. Available exclusively at Tampa Bay Radiation Oncology. By Grow Financial. Don't go through life, grow through life with Grow Financial Federal Credit Union. And by Sea-Doo. Sea-Doo Spark is the most affordable watercraft on the water, starting at only $49.99 or as low as $79 per month. Evan Longoria set to lead off the home half of the inning. Takes the pitch low. Rays had a couple of men in scoring position in the second, left him there. Evan had opened that inning with a walk. Holds it back now, 1-1.
Nathan Karns has settled down, had a couple of nice back-to-back innings. Now it's time for the offense to get things going. Had some opportunities early.
Takes the count to 1-2 on Evan. Well, these last couple of innings for Karns, the Rays have gotten low pitch count innings from him. And despite the first couple innings now, they're thinking they could get 5 or 6 innings out of it.
Yeah, and that was what was looking not real good after the first 2 innings. 6 runs deep, a heavy pitch count. Last thing you want to do is start eating up that bullpen early in a ball game, but he has settled down and, like you said, done so economically.
Base hit into left. Longoria opens the 4th inning by reaching. He's been on twice.
Now this Rays offense, they have had opportunities. They've kept the pressure on Wei-Yin Chen, and they put him right back into the stretch.
Well, they put the leadoff man on base in each of the last 3 innings. That after he had a very quick 1-2-3 first inning.
That's another reason why Chen has not been able to get into his normal rhythm quite yet. He's been flipping over into the stretch right away.
Jennings takes a strike. And the Rays have pushed Chen a little bit. In fact, if you look at their pitch counts after 3, Karns had 55 pitches. Chen had 54. One and one.
We talked about this the last half inning. The Rays hitters need to just go up and continue to work good at bats. Like it's the last 2 outs in the 9th inning, and just try to work and find your way back into this game. They've already done that with his pitch count. Now they need to turn that into some runs.
2-1. Logan Forsythe on deck. Lifted not overly deep. It's Jones in center. 1 out. Reminder of the game tonight and all season long. Tires Plus donates $100 to the Pediatric Cancer Foundation for every Tampa Bay Rays home run televised on Sun Sports. Forsythe 0 for 1. Out in front, strike 1. Put him down in the count against the lefty. Forsythe, a career .270 hitter against lefties.
Well, he got off to such a slow start with the Rays last year after coming over an off-season trade. But started to put some things together. Better at bats as the season went on. Finished strong. And the Rays are going to need him because he's going to get a lot of playing time here early in the season.
Fastball, and he fouls it. It's Rivera on deck. Rene Rivera, catcher. Gorey at first. One out. Rays continue to run the pitch count up on Chen. The plate in.
Slider here by Chen, 0-2.
You see where all those pitches all been clustered right on the corners. It's 2-2.
The Rays, they've made Chen work, and he is trying everything to get into that good rhythm, using both sides of the plate, using all of his pitches. We've seen him incorporate both breaking balls and the changeup more as the game has gone on, trying to find some mix that works.
Tamper foul. Forsythe battling down 0-2.
I'm telling you, you've got to tip your hat to this Rays lineup. One run so far, but they are making him work for everything that he gets.
With this next pitch, Chen will have made one more pitch than Karns.
And he's not even out of the inning yet.
Yep. Ninth pitch of the at-bat. And now it's 3-2. Well, Forsythe has really battled to run this count full. Popped up. That will carry back toward the stands and out of play. You saw a shot into the Orioles dugout. This pace in the pitch count for Chen has Showalter doing some pacing.
Yeah, the Orioles jumped out 4 in the first, 2 in the second, seemingly had this game under control. Still do at 6-1, but not exactly what Buck Showalter wanted to see out of his starter.
Yeah, things like this start to worry a manager. And a long one, high and deep to left. Gone. Great at bat for Logan Forsythe, who hits the home run off Chen, and that makes it 6-3.
What can he say? Yeah, he fouled off some tough pitches. He took some borderline pitches, continued to see more and more, and then finally works himself into a mistake out over the plate, and he does not disappoint. And the Rays have cut this deficit in half.
Wow, says Kevin Cash. Forsythe got down 0-2, worked an 11-pitch at bat, and hits the home run. The Rays right back in this thing now. Strike the count on Rivera. How about this for a contrast? Forsythe got ahead in the count his first time up 2-0. Now you're thinking good spot, right? And he got jammed on a pitch and hit a little fly ball into right for an out. When you're thinking you're up in the count looking for something in there good.
You see that catcher move in there, you're thinking, like I said, home run.
So his next at bat, he gets down 0-2. Battles, fouls him away, runs the count full, and then turns on one.
It took 11 pitches for Chen to finally make a mistake, and he destroyed it. But yeah, the contrast in those two at-bats and the results.
Rivera sends a fly ball into left. Diaz is there to catch it for the out.
Best second baseman, Tim Beckham.
Base is empty, 2 gone, a couple runs home. Some movement down there in the bullpen for the for the Orioles. Wrong bird. And here's Tim Beckham.
Well, we see him so often.
Yeah, certainly do.
We'll see that other bird here in another week or so.
Let's strike the count to Beckham. Lifted into center for Jones. Well, the Rays score 2. They really push Chen. The big blow, 2-run home run by Logan Forsythe. And it's now 6-3. Rays trying to battle their way back from a 6-run deficit. They cut it in half.
A 2-run bomb. It is 6-3. The Orioles still with the lead. Okay, guys up in the booth, I want you to know that we're bringing back Web Wednesdays this season. I'm going to be taking over Sun Sports Rays Twitter account tomorrow. So be sure to submit those questions at Sun Sports Rays. Come out to the Trop. I may, take a selfie with you and maybe get some behind-the-scenes action. BA, I did hear that you don't have a Twitter and you're not wanting to ever get a Twitter account. What's up with that?
Well, Emily, give it another week or two of getting to spend time with the crew, and you'll realize quickly why I don't need to have a Twitter account.
Okay, well then I'm gonna work on Dwayne trying to get a Twitter account.
Dwayne would be excellent with Twitter. A lot of knowledge, a lot of little sayings and pieces of wisdom that come out.
All I have to say is CBA.
A lot of behind-the-scenes action, though, so be sure to get those questions and everything out and follow at Sun Sports Race tomorrow, Web Wednesday.
Yeah, those are always fun, and we're looking forward to it. Our very first one of the year here already.
A new year. And those are always fun. Last year.
Yeah, it gives us even more of an opportunity to interact. Or act up. I'm not sure which. 2-2 the count to Steve Pearce, opening the fifth. Well, it's a game now. Shot to center field. Room for Kiermaier. And he puts it away. Through 4 innings, with Karns struggling through the first 2 and running a high pitch count, he had made 71 pitches through 4. And Chen got through the first 4 with 80 pitches after making only 8 pitches in the first inning. So we've had a little reversal. You see a 6-pitch third for Karns, and that was a big help for him. Big help for the staff as well, for the reason you mentioned. You don't want to have to get into the bullpen that early. There's Travis Snyder. Strike call.
You can see by the way that Karns is delivering the ball to the plate, the confidence level is going up with each and every pitch. Much more conviction with what he's doing right now than early in the game, where it seemed like he was feeling his way around the strike zone. Now he's just cutting it loose, picking out a spot, a pitch, and here it goes. Much more comfortable out there. And that bodes well, because the Rays are going to be leaning heavily upon Nathan Karns as well as the rest of those starters here early in the season. We talked about the fact that coming into spring training, arguably your top 6 starting pitchers, 4 of them right now are on the disabled list. So you're going to need, that depth will be tested, and they're going to need Nathan Karns if they want to get off to a quick start here in 2015.
2-2 now.
Matt Moore there on the left, coming back from Tommy John surgery. They're hoping that he can be back and contributing at some point in June. And on the right side of your screen, Chris Archer, the opening day starter from yesterday.
Well, a full count now on Snyder. You got to have 4 starters on the DL and your closer.
Yeah.
To start a season. You can't be serious. Now a walk to Snyder. So he's on for the 3rd time in this game.
Number 10.
Been on 6 times in 7 plate appearances in the series already, Snyder.
And he's worked really good at bats as far as taking some walks, working at bat, hitting the ball with authority. You think about yesterday, the first run of the ball game. Early in the count, might have been the first pitch of the at-bat, just inside outing a ground ball the other way because the left side was open. I mean, it's had a heck of a series so far.
Adam Jones up here, and that pitch is down 1-0. And here comes Jim Hickey. He's again trying to get out in front of the situation.
You know, as soon as we talked about how comfortable Nathan Karns looked, these last couple of pitches, same thing from the first 2 innings, almost landing on the heel, trying to aim, be a little bit too fine, and Jim Hickey quick to recognize.
And you know, one of the things Karns said that he likes about Hickey, he says even when he's doing his bullpen, he said Hickey's like straight up with you. He said if he's got good news, great, but if he's got bad news, here it is. And that's a great thing.
People appreciate honesty. You know, they just listen, good or bad, just give it to me. Give it to me exactly how it is, and Jim Hickey will do that.
He's getting some action in the bullpen. Ground ball short. Cabrera, Beckham 1, Forsythe 2. Well, that makes a pitching coach look really good. Visit to the mound. How about a double play ball? All right, here you go.
Genius.
6-4-3 on the double play, and we're headed into the bottom of the 5th. 6-3 Baltimore. AL East showdown with the Rays battle the Yankees Saturday. It'll be April 18th. We'll bend over backwards for an Alex Cobb Gumby, available for all fans while supplies last. For tickets, call 888-FAN-RAYS or visit RaysBaseball.com. Rays up. Well, Kevin Kiermaier will open the bottom of the 5th for the Rays. Machado's close at third. Kiermaier opened the 3rd inning for the Rays with a triple.
Trying to take away any idea of Kevin Kiermaier laying down a bunt. No, he's got great speed.
One. Bullpen busy down the left field line for Baltimore. We saw Kevin Gausman up earlier, and he's now on the mound down there loosening. So that gives you an idea that the leash on Wei-Yin Chen could be short.
Well, Buck Showalter can feel this game slipping away, tightening up.
On the first, and Chen off the mound to cover first. Kiermaier's out number 1.
And what looked to be a really comfortable game for Baltimore early has turned into a dogfight here halfway through. And Kevin Gausman, you know, we saw him last year. Great stuff. You know, at some point, you got to think that he's going to be in that starting rotation and, you know, a top-end guy. Got electric stuff, good fastball, good slider. Right now in the bullpen. And that's what it may become. A little battle of the bullpens.
And here's Geyer. Brandon Geyer 0 for 2.
Making pitch to you.
And he is hit by that pitch. And the Rays get a base runner.
Anything to get on base. Brandon Geyer, that breaking ball, he just does not move. That front leg plant and go ahead. Take one for the team.
Geyer does a pretty good job of that. Last year we saw the bunting side of his game excel. I think he had 7 bunt base hits last year. And you're right, anything to get on base. So he's aboard with Steven Souza Jr. Fastball from Chen in the upper 80s right now, 88, 89.
And that's down a couple of where you normally see Chen. You usually see him in that 90, 92, 93 range.
Souza losing that one. Big cut.
And while it may not seem like a big deal, it is a big jump to go from 88, 89 to, you know, 91, 93. But what makes Chen effective is the mix of pitches and the fact that he will use both sides of the plate. It forces you to cover the entire zone, and doing it while having to deal with 4 pitches.
Souza drove in a run with a ground ball in the 3rd. 1 for 4 in yesterday's game. Rays with a base runner, 1 out in the 5th. Two and 2.
Such an interesting career path for Steven Souza. You know, he spent 8 years in the minor leagues, of which parts of at least 5 of those seasons he was an A-ball, but really started to turn it on in 2012 with the batting average and the power numbers, and is shot now right to the big leagues.
Outside of third. Count still 2-2. Yeah, a lot of things changed for him. His approach to life in general and his approach to the game.
And that all culminated with the year that he had last year at Syracuse. He had 350. And also had 18 home runs, drove in 75. The Rays really wanted him, and now they have him, and they're going to put him out in right field and let him play.
It's all right. It's all right.
So the count holds at 2-2. We got a lot of at-bats in the spring. Got over 50 at-bats. Eric Shelton, Rays hitting coach, thought by the end of spring they were starting to see him put things together a bit.
You got to think too, all those years in the minor leagues, this is the first spring training that he's come into with the idea that I'm going to be an everyday major league player, and it's with a new organization. You know, he was drafted by the Nationals, which is who he came over to the Rays from. So I'm sure there was some anxiousness at the beginning of camp.
And now he takes that one low, and the count is full. So nice job here.
I'll tell you, you just continue to be impressed with the Rays' approach here against Chen, and they've got him on the ropes as far as pitch count. You're probably not going to see much more of Chen, and that's a tribute to this Rays lineup. They have just not given away at bats, even after falling down big early.
This will be his 95th pitch of the night coming, and a foul ball back. Healthy cut at the fastball, and he fouled it. Showalter has the big right-hander in the bullpen. And there is ball 4. Going to good at bat by Souza there. And the Rays have 2 men on, and Showalter's out of that dugout. 96 pitches. Chen will depart after 4 1/3. Pitching change coming. Tune in tomorrow for the Mazda Wednesday night showdown. Jake Odorizzi will be on the hill. for the Rays, opposed by Miguel Gonzalez. Rizzi a little heavier this year.
He wants that 200 innings. Wants that strength and stamina to last a full season. I tell you, he went through one last year, and you realize that starting every 5 days for 6 months, it'll take its toll.
So he's ready and will be on the mound tomorrow.
I think that he found a mix last year that works well for him too. Fastballs up in the zone, down in the zone to go with the good curveball and the good changeup.
Kevin Gausman in the game, facing Asdrubal Cabrera, and the Orioles are very high on Gausman.
Now, he's got a great arm, and he's starting to learn how to pitch, how to harness these pitches. There's a lot of movement. Great velocity.
Up the right side, pulled foul, out of play. Yeah, he could be in the mid-90s in no time.
With sink. You know, he's got a live arm. He's got that good finish out in front. That ball really takes off. You start to think about the breaking ball tight and sweet to that slider.
Also the split.
Awful lot to like.
Quickly ahead of Asdrubal Cabrera. Runners are on the move. Go down to third. Safe there. The Rays pull off a double steal.
And it was almost as if Baltimore knew it was coming. That fastball by Gausman was up and out, almost a pitch out here. Watch this. Easy for Joseph to handle. And yet, a throw just a little bit too high. The tag had to come a long way, and Brandon Guyer able to sneak to the back of the bag. That's a great slide by Brandon Guyer to get in ahead of that throw.
So some daring on the bases by the Rays to get both men into scoring position. 1-2 now, the count on Cabrera. And he's out on strikes.
Well, there you
Boy, he tuned it up right there. Upper 90s with that one, and tough to catch up to.
We've seen Baltimore with Cabrera from both sides. When they get ahead of him, they're starting to climb the ladder with the fastball. When you do it with 98 up there, no chance to catch up to that.
Well, 2 gone. 2 men in scoring position. And here's Evan Longoria. Ball, no strikes. Fastball, a lot of high octane on that.
Yeah, that fastball's got some hair on it.
Well, forget the mid-90s. He's suddenly in 98 to Cabrera, 98 to Longoria.
Well, and you have that luxury coming out of the pen. You know, he's coming out of the pen. We talked about how live his arm is. He comes in with 1 out, 2 runners aboard. And so there's no time like the present. And you got to dial it up quick. And who would have thought that the Baltimore Orioles would go to their bullpen first in this game the way it started off?
They scored 4 in the first, and Wei and Chen went to the bottom of the first, had an 8-pitch inning. And then they scored 2 in the next inning. It's 6-0.
And he never looked the same after that.
Nope. He's gone after 4 1/3, 96 pitches. Now 2-1.
How about triple digits?
How about that? 100 miles per hour. Serious stuff out there.
Was this a video game? 98, 98, 100. The board here at Tropicana Field had it at 101.
Three balls and a strike.
That's where these hitters just don't get enough credit. You can see 98, 98, 100, and then lay off a slider at 84. just trying to survive. And that's something that the Rays have done a great job of in this ball game. Just quality at bat after quality at bat.
Coming up in the count, 3-1. Hard throwing right-hander out there. He takes the fastball for a strike up at 98 again. Full count.
That was the pitch. We'll get the next one.
And that gets there in a hurry. Evan fouls that fastball, and again, that one in at 100.
Right off Ed Hickok's, right off his mask. Knocked it back a step.
Souza on second, Geyer at third. Rays have gotten that tying man at the plate, and there is ball 4. The bases are going to be loaded. We talked about the ability when you get down early to get the tying run to the plate, and the Rays have done that now with Desmond Jennings. They're 1 up on that. Bases loaded. They're down by 3. He's been 1 of 7 in his career against his hard-throwing right-hander, Kevin Gausman. A little popper, short left. Cabrera out, backpedaling, and makes the catch to retire the side. Well, the Rays put up a battle. They leave them loaded. 6-3 Baltimore. Game. At one point it was 6-0. Adam Jones with a double driving in 2 in that first when the Orioles scored 4. Steve Pearce connecting on an 0-2 pitch in the second inning to run the count to 6-0. Rays got a run in the third and then closed the gap to 3 in the fourth on Logan Forsythe's 2-run home run. And we're moving into the 6th now. 6-3. Nathan Karns, who was cut for those 6 runs in the first 2 innings, has put up 3 scoreless innings since, and is out here to open the 6th inning with Chris Davis at the plate. 1-0 the count. Karns with that pitch now 85 pitches on the night. He had 49 through 2. And that one just brushed Chris Davis, so he's hit by a pitch, and I think it also caught part of Rivera.
Number 13, Manny Machado.
Yes, it did. So Chris Davis goes to first. There will be no voice signals given for a while. And here is Manny Machado. 1-0 the count. Machado drove in a run with a fly ball to center in the first. Karns driving that fastball to the outside corner that time.
When he stays in sync mechanically, he can do that time and again to both sides of the plate. His fastball stays pretty true. Every once in a while, he'll try to pop one in there with a little bit of sink. He's got that prototypical pitcher's body, 6'3", 6'4", try to drive the ball downhill.
Ground ball, sharply hit. Beckham out at second, over to first, out there. Where the Rays have picked up a couple of double plays in the last 2 innings. That's something we didn't see a lot of last year. Way too infrequent last year in that department.
The fewest in the league, and look at well-positioned Tim Beckham. And he's able to take this himself at second and finish it off with a throw over to Forsythe at first. And the Rays have a completely different look up the middle this year with Rivera. Tonight you've got Beckham and Cabrera, Kiermaier taking over in center.
Double plays each of the last 2 innings. Here's Ryan Flaherty. This pitch is a strike.
We gotta love the way that Nathan Karns has bounced back. So tough to go out there and have given up 6 runs through 2 innings. That's some help from his defense, but he's also thrown the ball much better as this game has moved on.
1-1. Given up 6 runs, 5 hits. The last hit was the Pierce home run in the 2nd inning. Given up a couple of walks and a hit batter since then. Two and one. Three balls and a strike. Karns pitch count at 94. Caleb Joseph is the on-deck hitter. Grant Balfour has been throwing in the Rays bullpen. And ball 4 is inside to Flaherty. So a 2-out walk. It's pretty close to Flaherty for ball 4. Let's take a look at that.
I think Rivera setting up away and this ball coming back in. He reaches for it, but that certainly looked like it caught the plate. Doesn't get the call.
Kevin Cash out to make the pitching change, and a nice recovery by Karns. and you have to give him a lot of credit. Tough start to this game, but he stayed right there.
Yeah, he was roughed up early, gave up 4 in the first, 2 in the second. But I'll tell you what, he hung in there, he settled down. He looked more comfortable as the game moved on. He pitched around a couple of walks, able to use his defense for a couple of ground ball double plays. And ends up going 5 2/3. And you know what? Still, the Rays have an opportunity in this game to come back, close that gap, kept it right at 6 down to 6-3.
Grant Balfour on in relief. Missing Caleb Joseph with a runner at first and 2 gone.
You know, not every outing is going to be a piece of art. I'll tell you what, you got to love the fact that he hung right in there, did not buckle.
Balfour, 65 appearances last year in what was for him a disappointing season.
And we see the walk numbers there, 41 walks in just over 62 innings.
2-1.
Yeah, and that's what led to a lot of the issues that Grant had. I mean, when you're coming out there out of the bullpen, high leverage situations, and your walk rate is 6.5 per 9, that's tough. A lot of extra base runners, and I'm sure that's something that he's pinpointed and try to eliminate that.
Yeah, because he's in games when you can least afford to give up base runners and walk people. Inherited Flaherty at first. Going to get the last out in the 6th inning. Count goes to 2-2. Deck. It's low, blocked by Rivera.
I think the one thing that Grant Balfour is learning, it's how to pitch without having his best fastball. You know, last year that pitch miles per hour down a couple. But he's a veteran and will figure out something. A little bit more of the breaking ball, better location on the fastball. You can have the same good results.
And that's fouled back, and again Hickox takes this one off the mask, and that's 2 pretty good shots he's taken.
Well, he's not right behind Rivera over the top of him. He gives himself room to see, but he also opens himself up for foul tips, and that's why he's had his bell rung a couple of times here.
You know, 1 is enough, and you get a second one. It gives you reason for pause. Dana DeMuth may be asking him some basic questions there, and it looked as if Ed said, look, you need to give me one more difficult than that. But you see, that's first off Rivera and then off the plate umpire Ed Hickox. He says he's fine, and let's hope that in fact he is. That's a tough job back there. And as we learn more about how serious concussions are, I think baseball, all of sport for that matter, trying to be much more aware and careful in that department. So a full count. Balfour again, and a liner into center. Kiermaier is there, and that'll take care of the Orioles. Rays coming into bat at the bottom of the 6th, down 6-3.
gentleman right there with the head on his hand is Rays left-hander Drew Smyly, who threw a bullpen here on opening day. All is well. And guys, he's going to make a rehab start tomorrow, the first of his rehab starts with the Charlotte Stonecrabs to kick things off. He'll pitch a couple of innings in their season opener. 6:30 start tomorrow night down in Port Charlotte, Florida. Little shoulder tendonitis kept him from being on the opening day roster. You can see what he did, an amazing 7-start sequence with the Rays last year. So Drew Smyly on the road to recovery, and we'll have his report of what he does down in Port Charlotte during tomorrow's game, guys.
We'll look forward to that, and everyone expecting and hoping for the best there as he continues his way back into the Rays rotation. Again, 4 starting pitchers on the DL to start the year, and the closer.
I don't know if I've ever been involved in a scenario where you have that kind of quality on the disabled list to start a season.
Yep.
That important for your top 6. Well, you just hope that everybody's progressing as they should, and you start getting them back in waves.
3-0. There's Jake McGee. Well, that's a big arm not to have available to close out games in the opening weeks of the season. And some cleanup work done on his elbow for the winner. Hey, there's ball 4, and Forsythe is on. Well, Logan hit the big home run to draw the Rays to within 3 runs, and now a walk to open the bottom of the 6th.
Number 44, Rene.
Well, another leadoff runner aboard for the Rays. They have been given opportunities by this Oriole pitching staff. Had yet to fully cash in, but they're within striking distance.
Here's Rene Rivera. Hit at 96 and a swing and a miss.
He wasn't holding anything back on that swing either. Well, this was a guy, Rivera, last year. Had 11 home runs, drove in 44 runs in his first season of getting extended playing time in the big leagues.
Foul ball, trying to turn up the bat as Gausman turns up the heat. We saw him hit triple digits in the 5th inning. He finished impressively last year. Over his last 5 starts, he was averaging a strikeout per inning. Had a 287 earned run average in that stretch for them at the end. Rivera checking. The Orioles want the appeal, and Rivera is out. There's Paul Nart.
Well, with Gausman's fastball getting to the upper 90s and he's coming in, you got to start it real early. And right there, that's exactly what Rivera does. And by the time his brain tells him to hold up, it's too late.
There's Tim Beckham looking for his first hit tonight. First pitch is a strike. The Rays have managed to close this gap despite going 0 for 7 with men in scoring position. Strike 2. Beckham not all that pleased with that call.
They get used to a guy's strike zone all night, and have not been that many down that far that have been called. That one gets him to 2 strikes. Another reason not to like it.
Ground ball short. Cabrera With Flaherty one, they will not get the double play. Forsythe forced at second. Beckham reaches on a fielder's choice. And that will get Kevin Kiermaier up there against this hard-throwing right-hander. Kiermaier with a triple and a run scored tonight. He's 2 of 11 against Kevin Gausman in his career. Around his feet. Boy, you want to get out of the way in a hurry. Kiermaier not wasting any time.
We know he's got quick feet. And yeah, you're right. 97, 98 coming in. And it wasn't even that close, but boy, out of the hand, you're not sure. Get out of there.
You got to start your bat fast, your feet fast as well.
And Gausman, we see here with lefties and righties, he likes that fastball on the inner half of the plate, knowing that if you want to get the barrel to it, you've got to get things dialed up quick. And it's difficult to do with that kind of velocity.
Strike.
Almost pitches backwards with the fastball. Gets you thinking, I've got to be super quick on the ball in, and then he goes away, and you're already starting to leak with that front hip. Just not able to pull the trigger. That's what he did right there to Kiermaier, but still the count in his favor.
Back in. 3-1. Gausman in out of the bullpen. Wei Chen worked 4 to third. And a high fly ball back into center. Jones on the run at the track. Gone! Home run for Kiermaier. It's a 1-run ball game. Well, the Rays have closed the gap to only one on this swing of Kevin Kiermaier's bat.
Right down the middle. We saw Kevin Kiermaier show the power last year, and he's able to get one out dead center field. Kevin Gausman and that velocity supplying a lot of that power, but that ball was well struck, and the Rays right back in this game.
Well, we go back to the top of the order now. That's a strike to Brandon Guyer. Kevin Kiermaier turned around 96 right there at 3-1 and hit it out to center.
That entire at bat was fastball after fastball after fastball. He finally got one out over the plate. Boy, did he cash in.
Guyer down 1-2. Well, you think back when Beckham got down 0-2 with a runner at first, and he used his speed when he hit the ball on the ground to avoid a double play to keep the inning going, reaching with 2 outs to give Kiermaier's left-handed bat a chance. And the Rays capitalize on that. Swing and a miss. Guyer overpowered at 97. That'll retire the Rays, but they pick up 2 more. Home run by Kevin Kiermaier, and at the end of 6, it's now 6-5 Baltimore. The action with exclusive on-field seating in the Papa John's bullpen box. Host your group of 50 to 85 in the private party area and leave long-lasting memories. To reserve the Papa John's bullpen box, call group sales at 888-FAN-RAYS. Email group sales at raysbaseball.com or visit raysbaseball.com. Limited dates remain. We go to the 7th. Grant Balfour facing the Baltimore shortstop. Cabrera takes the first pitch, shortens on the bat, and that's in there for a strike. Remember, Cabrera has struck out and grounded out tonight. As we begin the 7th, Balfour is on the hill, and the Rays have kept their bullpen active. Base hit, that's the other way. Cabrera is aboard. And the Orioles get their first hit since the Steve Pearce home run back in the 2nd inning.
You got to have a guy over there at first base, Cabrera, with good speed, good base stealer. We talked about 2012, 44 out of 48, was not nearly as proficient at the stolen base last year, but always a threat to go.
Alejandro Diaz, the hitter. Which is down. Steve Geltz remains up in the Rays bullpen.
Alejandro Diaz has the entire left side to work against. Asdrubal Cabrera up the middle, Evan Longoria in on the grass. I just wonder if Baltimore might try to jumpstart this offense. It's been pretty stagnant since early in the game.
Well, with Cabrera over there, it would not surprise you.
You've got Cabrera that can run. Neaza moves the ball around.
Oh, a nice move. Close. Boy, just as Cabrera started to widen it, Balfour went over there.
Almost caught him in between steps, and that's what makes this so close. He's not quite set. And boy, barely gets back in. That's a great shot, just how close that was.
Ball 2 wide to Diaza.
And that's not something that Baltimore does a whole lot of or has done a lot of. They had the fewest stolen bases in Major League Baseball last year,
Yeah,
and it really wasn't close.
They were too busy hitting home runs last year.
Right. Well, you've got two guys here you can play the hit and run game with, especially with the ball being worked away from Diaza.
And it's 3-0. Well, Ford came on, got the final out in the 6th inning. Cabrera has singled in the 7th.
All right, Graham,
Johnson takes it for a strike. Now 3-1. Runner goes. Pitch is ball 4. Cabrera will move up anyway. He was on the move. 2 men on with nobody out now in the 7th. Kevin Cash is going to make a bullpen move. He has Geltz at the ready. And we'll be back in a moment.
Two runners aboard, and why not turn to Steve Geltz? What he did yesterday, he comes in on opening day, 4 hitters up, 4 hitters down, all via the strikeout. Absolutely electric with his stuff. Late jump on the fastball, a good slider, and he made short work of the Orioles yesterday, and the Rays hoping he can do that again here tonight.
Well, he followed Archer to the mound in that game and got Flaherty, Scope, Joseph, and Diaza. Will face Steve Pearce with 2 men on and nobody out in the 7th inning of this game. Well, the Rays, coming out of spring training, saw this guy as a swing and miss guy. And that was certainly in evidence yesterday. Up in a tough spot right now against Steve Pearce. Cabrera, good speed, the runner at second. Diaza, the runner over at first. Rays got 2 in the 6th to make it a 1-run ball game after trailing by 6 after 2. Slider low and outside, 1-0 against Pierce. Homered on a breaking ball in the second inning. Homered on a fastball yesterday.
He's been a thorn in the side of the Rays. Gilt's very deliberate out there, keeping a close eye on Cabrera out at second.
Comes back with a slider. Now it's 2-0. Beliveau, the lefty, up in the bullpen. Travis Snider is on deck.
Yep.
Fastball is wide. 3-0. Two men on, nobody out, and a 3-0 count on Pierce. Overall 2 for 3 tonight. Strike. Geltz finds the zone to make it 3-1. Shot foul. Out front off that one. And the count is full.
One thing about Giltz's fastball is it has that late life to it. You know, it's not a burning fastball like Kevin Gausman. He's not going to be rushing it up there 97, 98, but yet there's some deception that goes into it. And there's some late hop on it. And that's why he's so successful at missing bats, and he'd like to do it one more time right here.
3-2 now. Broken bat roller to short. Cabrera, Beckham, one out there. So they get one on the broken bat ground ball.
They had a chance there at a double play, but that play was out of rhythm. A little bit of trouble for Cabrera getting the ball out of his glove, almost a double clutch. And that just threw out the whole rhythm of the play right there. Just that little bit of pause, and then the throw a little bit wide. And that's all it takes sometimes.
Beckham had to make sure they got at least the one out at second base. So it's Cabrera at third. Pierce reaching at first on a fielder's choice. Travis Snider bats. Snider has been on base 3 times tonight with an RBI single, a run scored, and 2 walks. He was on 3 times in 4 plate appearances yesterday. Geltz behind him, 2-0. It's 3 balls and no strikes. Adam Jones is on deck. Well, they have Snider loose 3-0, and he's after that fastball up. 3-1.
Well, you earn those swings. And where he is in the lineup, the way that he's been swinging the bat here at the beginning of the season, turn him loose. Geltz able to get it up above that bat.
fastball fouled back.
Well, you can see right now the pathway to the strikeout, and that's with that elevated heater. Travis Snider, he wants to swing the bat.
So the count is full. Ground ball foul outside of first. Came back with a slider, 3-2.
I'd go right back up with that heater right here. Middle of the plate, middle away, at the letters. You've got him in swing mode now. And if you get it up there, I don't think he's going to be able to get on top of it.
And he loses him. Missed with a fastball. So the bases are going to be loaded. Jim Hickey's going to head to the mound with Snider taking over at first, pushing Pierce up to second. Cabrera's at third, and the hitter's going to be Adam Jones. So the Rays talk it over on the mound. Tune in tomorrow for the Mazda Wednesday night showdown. Our coverage begins at 6:30. It'll be Jake Odorizzi against Miguel Gonzalez in the final game of this short 3-game homestand for the Rays. We'll be headed over to Miami for the weekend to play the Marlins, and then up to Toronto to play the Blue Jays. Meanwhile, they're trying to get out of the 7th inning here. They've closed the gap to 1. The Orioles have the bases loaded, 1 out. And Jepson joined Belleville in the bullpen.
You got to make pitches here right from Jump Street because Adam Jones, aggressive.
And he loves to swing the bat, especially with men on base. He does, and sends one down the left side, foul. An opening fastball, and he was ready to swing the bat. Pulled it foul.
After the walk to Snider, Adam Jones, last year he averaged just over 3 walks a month. So, to make some pitches against him. Try to get him to expand that zone and look for weak contact. Or better yet, no contact.
Fastball up, 0-2.
Well, he's going to turn it loose, and now you got him 0-2. This was a good idea. Up and in. You can see Rivera, the way that he is setting. They wanted that ball up above the hands. They got it. They got the swing.
A 2-strike count. Fouled back. Came back with that fastball. Cabrera's at third. Pierce is at second. Snider, the runner, at first. 2 strikes the count on Adam Jones. Rivera with a trot to the mound to confer with Geltz. Darren O'Day throwing in the bullpen down the left side. Ground ball shortstop. Cabrera. Beckham 1. First base 2. Rays got the double play to get out of this spot. 6-4-3. The Rays have turned 3 double plays in the last 3 innings to hold off Baltimore. Cabrera started it. We go to the bottom of the 7th. 6-5.
Geltz enabled the Rays down by a run, and he keeps it there. And this is the sequence to Adam Jones. Fastball, strike one. Then he climbs the ladder, gets ahead 0-2, and then it was going to be a battle of wills in that spot. Foul ball there by Adam Jones, and then trying to get on top of that, and he's able to. When he chops it right to Asdrubal Cabrera, to Beckham, over to Forsythe. Geltz and the Rays get out of that inning.
So another great job by Steve Geltz. We go to the bottom of the 7th. Steven Souza Jr. leads off. Houseman starts him with a breaking ball.
Geltz, the early front runner for team MVP.
Yeah. Right about that. Well, 1-1. And how about the Rays? Double play ball in the 5th, double play ball in the 6th, another double play ball in the 7th. Two and one. Bottom of the 7th. Rays have climbed back from a 6-0 deficit. It's 6-5. Now 2-2. Strike 3 called. Heavy duty heat right there. That's what you get from Gausman. Here's what's coming up tomorrow on Rays Live, the pregame show presented by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. We'll hear from the Rays starter Jake Odorizzi and feature on the Rays players and their personal goals. Coverage begins at 6:30 tomorrow. Asdrubal Cabrera. After the first one, and he sends a fly ball into center. And Cabrera is the second out here in the 7th inning. Now Evan Longoria is due, and here comes Showalter. Had the bullpen busy with Darren O'Day out there, and that's going to be it for Gausman. So a pitching change with Longoria coming up. Red Sox take on the Yankees in the Bronx, followed by a playoff rematch. The Royals battle Mike Trout and the Angels. Coverage begins Saturday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Darren O'Day is brought on here in the 7th to face Evan Longoria. Evan 2 out of 11 against O'Day in his career. Pitch is a strike. Evan has walked twice and in between singled and scored.
And what Evan's got to tell himself here against this tough righty Darren O'Day is think up the middle. So you keep that front side in there just a little bit longer. And it gives you a chance.
O'Day comes in there, missing 1-1.
Run that fastball up and in, and then maybe try to sweep that breaking ball away.
How about the contrasting look from Gausman to O'Day? Fly ball into left, charged by Diaza. He's there. And the Rays are out in the 7th. We're going to head into the 8th. Still 6-5 Baltimore. Tonight's game summary brought to you by Gold and Diamond Source. It's a 1-run ball game through 7. Rays had been down by 6. Closed the gap 6-5. Forsythe and Kiermaier powering the Rays back, each with home runs. Steve Pearce hit one out earlier for Baltimore.
5 straight zeros by the Rays pitching staff. They need to continue that trend, and they're going to go to Kevin Jepsen now. The only other organization that he's known, the only organization that he's known, the Angels. You see his numbers with them last year, first year here with the Rays.
He faces Chris Davis. The pitch is wide, the ball, no strikes. Davis 0 for 2, hit by a pitch in the 6th. Jepsen, 35 years or 30 years old. Jepsen. This guy can get it up there in the mid-90s pretty regularly. Fastball and beyond at times.
Yeah, and you know what? And it looks like it. He jumps at you. You see that hand come out of the glove down behind him. Really drives towards home plate. And and then is able to back that up with some tremendous velocity.
1-2. That one in the mid-90s. Jepson in 74 games last year with the Angels. Two upstairs, 2-2. Machado down 6th in the lineup tonight on deck. Now it's full.
Trying to find the right height with that fastball. Just above the strike zone, you can get Chris Davis to chase that pitch. The last couple have missed a little bit too far out. Easy takes.
Davis fouls the 3-2 back, forcing another pitch. That one in the mid-90s.
And Jepson's going to attack you with the fastball. We've seen the curveball. He will throw the changeup more often to lefties than to righties.
Davis fouls it again. More hard stuff and another foul ball.
These are the matchups that are fun to watch. High-octane fastball, Chris Davis with some of the best power in the game.
Fly ball back into right. Sousa just to the track and makes the catch. Davis out on the fly ball on a fastball.
Well, swing and trajectory looked promising off the bat, but you could tell by the sound that he did not catch that ball clean.
So a battle there between the power of Jepson and the powerful swing of Davis. One away. Manny Machado. Machado drives it to center field with Carey, and Kiermaier is back there, stepped from the wall to make the catch. Machado struck that one a bit better than Davis with some carry, and it sent Kiermaier all the way to the wall with a step remaining.
404 straightaway center field, and the Rays needed all of it. Right back there, you see Kiermaier with a bead, and a step and a half.
And now he likes it. Well, that's one thing the Rays do have, some outfielders who can go get the ball. Flaherty down in the count, a strike.
Kevin Kiermaier going to get the bulk of that playing time in center field. Desmond Jennings moving over to left. And even Steven Souza. We talked about the fact that he can run too. He can cover some ground.
0-2.
Jepson's starting to field a little bit. Change up curveball to Flaherty.
Now 1-2. 2 outs with the bases empty. Flaherty played shortstop yesterday, hit a home run his last time up. He did second base tonight. Left-hander Mattis up in the bullpen. Ryan Mattis up for the Orioles. Flaherty on the ground, right side, and in shallow right with the shift. Beckham, the second baseman, makes the play. Well, the Rays still need some runs. They're down by 1. They got 2 from Logan Forsythe's 2-run home run in the 4th, and then 2 more in the 6th inning on a 2-run blast by Kiermaier. We're headed into the bottom of the 8th. Is brought to you by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. Here we go into the bottom of the 8th inning. Rays after 2 innings trail 6-0. It's now 6-5, and Desmond Jennings opens against Darren O'Day. Shortens on the bat, bringing Machado in a little closer at third. 1-0. Desmond singled in the 2nd inning. 1 for 3 on the night. Brad Boxberger up in the bullpen for the Rays. They've had Karns, Balfour, Geltz, and Jepson tonight. Two and 1. Chen started for Baltimore. And Gaussman and now O'Day. Out of play, 2-2.
Well, the one thing that's allowed the Rays to climb back into this game is their insistence on quality at-bats the entire game. They really haven't given anything away. It really made these pitchers work. They've gotten some opportunities. They've cashed in on some, not on others, but yet here they stand, just 1 run down.
Desmond works the count full.
Again.
Kiermaier's home run. Hold the Rays to within a run in the 6th inning. Ground ball third into the glove of Machado. And across in time to get Jennings. 1 out of the 8th.
First baseman, number 11, Logan Forsythe.
Here's Logan Forsythe. He had a great at bat in the 4th inning. An 11 pitch at bat. And it culminated in this 2-run home run.
Comes after falling behind 0-2. Manager right there loving it.
Looks at strike 1. Oh, 2. Interesting looks from these Baltimore pitchers tonight. Wei-Yin Chen and Gaussman with high heat. O'Day down under.
And that's all by design. The way that Buck Showalter wants to build his bullpen, he wants a lot of different styles coming out of there. So there's just nothing you could zero in on. Everybody's got a different look, and it's a different challenge.
Foul beyond the bullpen. Well, he deserved a souvenir. That's a great hat. Good 2-2.
Good eye.
If Slash was a Rays fan, I gotta believe that would be in his closet.
Absolutely. Count still 2-2 to Forsythe. Battling, bouncing that one down to Charlie Montoyo. We're in the bottom of the 8th, and the Rays need a run. Down 6-5. Carrying toward the stands will be out of play. Steve Pearce going over there just in case.
Logan Forsythe just continues to battle, continue to foul off tough pitches, stay alive, and you're just hoping that O'Day makes a mistake out over the plate. We saw what he did last time. He got one of those.
Well, this is the 9th pitch of this at bat. It's a fly ball into center field. Adam Jones racing back to his left, and they tumble out there as they crisscross, but Jones came up with that ball and held on to it. Snyder and Jones on the crisscross, and Jones makes the catch.
Yeah, that didn't look right from the beginning. This ball gets lofted out into right center field, and you can see both of them going at it. Nobody letting up. Everybody eyes on the baseball and then take a tumble. Two
outs here in the 8th.
You got to remember, Adam Jones used to having Nick Markakis out with him in right field. They probably had nonverbal as much as they played together.
Rene Rivera drives one back into center field. Jones will go to the track, and out there by the wall makes the catch. He'll retire the side. Rivera gave it a bit of a ride. Rays are out in order in the 8th, and we go to the 9th. 6-5 Baltimore.
Rays 6-5. Don't forget, after the game, it'll be our Rays Live post-game show presented by Checkers. We will hear from the manager, Kevin Cash, with his post-game press conference. I'll be joined out in left field by Orestes Estrada and Doug Wechter. Emily Austin will gather interviews from the Rays clubhouse. We'll check in with Dwayne and BA on their thoughts. That'll be Rays Live presented by Checkers, hopefully following a walk-off victory. Guys, back to you.
All right, well, the Rays have battled back. They're staying close. A run back, and Brad Boxberger, who was outstanding last year for the Rays. A great combination of the fastball and the changeup.
Well, he just was tremendous mechanically all year, and a ton of deception with that fastball that he's able to run up into the mid-90s, and then that changeup, you'll see it sometimes in the upper 70s. Burst on the scene. Look at the strikeout numbers.
Caleb Joseph, the catcher, rolls it to the left side. Cabrera makes that play, and Joseph is out of there on one pitch. Everett Cabrera is up there. Cabrera singled in the 7th, giving him 1 for 3 tonight. Pitch is a strike. Jepson pitched a perfect 8th. And Karns, Balfour, Geltz, Jepson, and now Boxberger. 1-1. It's Zach Britton in the bullpen for the Orioles. Hopper in the shallow left for Jennings. 2 gone. And Cabrera out in front on the change. Well, you see Cash looking at the lineup card there. The Rays due to have Beckham, Kiermaier, and Geyer in the bottom of the 9th inning. Boxberger's retired the first two. Alejandro Diaz, top of the order, due up next. Diaz opened the game with a base hit and scored the first of 4 Baltimore runs in that inning. Walked his last time, and he takes a strike.
This is where Boxberger, you start to see why he gives hitters trouble. That changeup's been right at 80, the fastball in the mid-90s. You're just never comfortable with the speed. It's tough, 93 to 80. Seemingly always caught in between.
Two balls and a strike. Boxberger only 26 years old. Spent some time in the big leagues, but the Padres before the Rays got him, and Diaz way out in front there. And then that outstanding season last year for the Rays in 63 appearances. Count is full. He strikes out Diaz, and 1, 2, 3 go the Orioles. Well, the Rays have one more shot. Headed into the bottom half of the ninth. They are down 6-5. With a run in the third, 2 in the fourth, and 2 in the sixth to make it 6-5. And here in the bottom of the ninth, they will face Zach Britton, the Baltimore closer.
Tremendous year last year. His line from yesterday, 37 out of 41 in saves. The ERA of 1.65.
Here's Tim Beckham to lead it off, and he takes the pitch for a ball. Jonathan Scope is now playing second base in the ninth inning. Flaherty, who had been playing second, moves over to play short. 1-1.
That's what makes him so difficult. Zach Britton able to get that fastball into the mid-90s, but he also gets a tremendous amount of sink with it. One of the best sinkers that you will see in the game.
Two balls and a strike. Kiermaier due next, and then Brandon Guyer. Two. Beckham had reached on the fielder's choice in the sixth and scored on the Kiermaier home run. Just a piece of it staying alive on the foul ball. And the count is full. Rays need a run to keep it going, 2 to win it. And strike 3 called on Beckham. Britton picks up the big first out, getting Beckham leading off the bottom of the ninth.
Well, this was a fastball here by Britton that really cuts right down the heart of the plate. And Beckham gets caught looking.
Well, Kiermaier with a triple and a home run tonight. He had a double his last time up in yesterday's game. That pitch coming in on him, and the pitch hits the bat and deflects foul. Strike 1. So Kiermaier for the season has a double, triple, and home run. It's low. It's 1-1. Two and one. Rays down to their final 2 outs as they battle from behind all night. Two and two. Count goes full. So Britton went 3-2 on Beckham. Got him looking. Now 3-2 on Kiermaier. It's Guyer on deck. Any deeper, Souza would be up. And a cut to miss. Kiermaier strikes out on the mid-90s fastball. The 2 strikeouts by Britton, and the Rays are down to their final out.
It's that late movement, that late sink at the very end. You know, you start your swing, you think you know where that ball's going to be by the time you finish it, and it has that late action, dips right below the bat.
That was Brandon Guyer. Guyer faced Britton yesterday as a pinch hitter, and Britton struck him out. Fastball out of the zone. 1 ball, no strikes. And Guyer tried to check. That's going to be a strike on the appeal. Could not hold up. 1-1. Tell you, the way that pitch darts around with that late action, mid-90s. One and two the count to Guyer.
That's what sets it apart, is that velocity.
Two balls, 2 strikes.
See a lot of guys with good sinkers, 89, 90, 91. 92. But Britton is able to do that in the mid-90s. Such a rare feat.
Guyer trying to keep it alive. Joseph heads to the mound. Guyer hit by a pitch on the knee in the 5th inning. Otherwise 0-for-3 getting the start as a DH tonight. Up for the 2-2 count. Britton. Go to Rizzi looking on. He'll pitch tomorrow night. Piece of that one foul. If this score holds, the winning pitcher for the Orioles will be at the discretion of the official scorer. Wei-Yin Chin did not pitch 5 innings, 4 1/3. Foul ball. The Rays' hopes hanging by a thread here with a couple of foul balls forcing another pitch. Steven Souza Jr. hoping to get a chance to hit again tonight. And we'll have a full count. Good take low. So all 3 hitters have gone to 3 and 2 here in the 9th. And a foul back. I'll say this, the Rays are battling right down to the final out here. And in this case, perhaps the final pitch.
We talked about that 2nd, 3rd inning, as that was going to be the approach of this lineup. Hey, let's just continue to work at bats, and I got to tell you, it's been impressive what they've been able to do. Never giving in.
Foul ball again, forcing another one. Kiermaier's homer in the 6th inning off Gausman made it a 1-run game. 2 outs now in the 9th. Rays still down by 1. And Guyer strikes out. Britton strikes out the side to end this one. And the Orioles, who opened a 6-0 lead, hang on to win this one 6-5. The Rays battled right down to the final strike. And it's a 6-5 Baltimore win over the Rays. They'll give the win to Gausman. Karns will take the loss. Gausman the winner and Karns the loser in a 6-5 final. We'll be back in just one moment.